People that have woken up in bed with a stranger, what's your story? By AskReddit.
I was taking a train from Munich to Venice. It was one of those trains that the little rooms have chairs that pull out into beds. A older Italian gentleman came in the room, and as the train took off he made the sleep hand gesture. So I crashed out with this old dude. I woke up to him tapping me, letting me know we will be in Venice after the next stop.
Me scusi. That was my thought as well, lol.
Next stop, Bratislava.
No one from Berlin will find me here in Bratislava.
Nowhere near Berlin.
I'd drive this truck off a cliff before I would go back to Berlin.
Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
I have not seen that movie in like a decade and a half yet. As soon as I read that the movie and the scene, immediately clicked laughing face.
That's nice of him. Were you able to get to Venice?
Super nice. He gave me a card with a number to call for a place to stay if I couldn't find my friends in Venice. Side note, as soon as I got to the train station in Munich, 2 Germans walked up to me and said, "You look lost, where are you going?" They helped me buy my ticket and walked me to my train even. People are nice, man.
I was in Germany last year. Berlin. I was told to expect Germans to be cold and reserved. Bullfingpoo. Everyone was so nice to me, extremely accommodating, and very friendly. I'm working on moving there for work, and that made me much more comfortable with the idea.
Berlin isn't really like the rest of Germany. At all. A German dude in a business suit convinced my wife and I to cut the entire security line in the Dusseldorf airport because we were about to miss our flight. We're THICC and had just sprinted through a pretty big airport. The entire line of probably 40 other people were just fine with it. The security officer asked us why we had cut the line, to which I replied, "We are about to miss our flight." He replied with a smile and ushered us through the checkpoint. That poo would get you killed by the TSA in JFK. Our flight was delayed an hour. Danke.
Our flight was late into Dallas. Lots of people had connecting flights. The flight attendant got on the intercom and asked people who live in Dallas, "Can you remain seated and let the people with connecting flights deplane first to make their connections?" Not one effing person remained seated. We missed our connection.
Father, people are crazy nice sometimes.
When I was 11, I went to my friend's place for a horror movie sleepover night. I woke up with a 4-year-old boy who turned out to be her little brother, clinging to all my blankets in fear. He had eavesdropped on our sleepover after pretending to go to bed early, and was now convinced a killer doll would murder him in his sleep. Their mom made us all hot chocolate, and then he slept in her bed all night.
This one is actually quite wholesome.
Thank God. Some of these other ones are pretty F-ed.
Not me, but a neighbor was a member of a fraternity, and they all went downtown and got completely wasted. He doesn't remember how he got separated from his buddies, but woke up in a very soft bed not knowing where he was. He saw a large fluffy flowered bathrobe on the back of the door and put it on. He heard some voices and walked towards them. He walked into the dining room and there was an all-black family smiling in relief at him. My neighbor was a southern white guy. They were all eating breakfast, and the father pulled out a chair right beside him and made him a heaping plate of scrambled eggs, grits, toast and bacon. My neighbor had left the bar in a drunken state and had come upon their car and passed out in their backseat. Thankfully, all ended up okay. He kept in touch with that family for a long time afterwards.
And they moved him into the bed. What a bunch of bros.
And apparently undressed him as well.
I don't like where this is going.
This was so wholesome, it's making me smile. Just imaging all those giant grins when your neighbor hobbled up to the kitchen table. Thank you for sharing.
While still living at my parents' house, woke up after a club night. It was still a bit dark, but I saw someone next to me in my bed. Spent 15 minutes trying to figure who this was before I decided to take a look. Turns out it were my extra blankets I used to fill up the space between bed and wall. Decided I needed a lot more sleep before going out of bed.
Reminds me of one time I woke up after a night of heavy drinking. I woke up and lazily opened my eyes and gave myself time to regain focus. I started panicking after 10 seconds when all I was still seeing was all white. I thought I was blind and lost all vision. I was relieved when I realized I was just facing a white wall that the bed was up against.
Reminds me of a story when I was a kid, 7 or 8 years old. Backstory of it is that a couple months prior, I had a head injury, landed on the back of my head playing soccer on concrete, and I lost my sight for about 10 hours. A couple months go by and I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. It was pitch dark. I get to my light switch and nothing happens. I'm a bit fuzzy on the details of the story, but from what I remember, was told by my mum is that I was screaming at the top of my lungs, I'm blind, and stumbling up and down the hallway. Mum and Dad come out of their bedroom with a flashlight. Finally, the power was out.
That is hilarious, ha ha ha. The relief and disappointment of realizing no one's there, lol. I was around 19 years old and at a weekend festival where most people camped out in tents. I got hammered and blacked out on Saturday and woke up on an air mattress in somebody else's tent. I sat up to get my bearings at some point in the morning and a couple was also in the tent, but not laying on the air mattress. The guy sat up right after me and said, "Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you better get the F out of here." I didn't stick around to ask any questions.
How pissed was the couple?
Reasonably pissed, I would say. Some drunk asshole slept on their air mattress while they slept on the hard ground.
They were saints for not kicking you out and/or kicking your ass. Or maybe they were just as drunk as you were.
Yay, if that were me and I found a random dude in my tent, I'm dragging his ass out of there, LMAO.
He was probably semi-unresponsive and they didn't feel like leaving an unconscious person on the ground outside their tent. Like the guy said, saints.
There were times where people had no chance waking me up. I fell asleep early, in similar situations, but indoors, and they joined me later but kept fooling around. Turned on all the lights, were shouting and laughing, did photos and videos with lightning, tried to push me off the mattress and later tried again to wake me up. Then they gave up. Apparently I didn't even move. Kinda scary. Retrospectively, I saw the pics and vids they made and I didn't believe that I couldn't be bothered. I was first to go to bed and last to leave at 2, edit, because this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I checked if it could have been a coma, but closest would just be unconsciousness. I guess I'm lucky I didn't vomit earlier, when I was still alone. Throwing up is kinda my signature move even. Damn, know your limits, kids.
Not op, but they sound like they were pretty reasonable. Could have easily grabbed his leg and pulled him out by the sounds of things while he was still out cold.
My husband just said the same exact thing. You never know what people are on, and I know we would have definitely dragged their ass out of the tent. We have extra comfy stuff, though I would have tossed them.
What air mattress would you recommend? Ours goes flat by the morning. Checked for leaks or holes and found nothing. Looking to upgrade to something comfy.
Haha, this is defo the best place to ask this question. I love you, dude.
Sounds like he wandered in and passed out on their air mattress, so cool couple let you sleep it off and took the lesser.
Once went to a festival with some mates. One got blackout drunk and collapsed in the middle of the circle we'd made with the tents. He was a big dude with a massive beard at the time. Next morning we woke up to hear that every tent in our field except for ours has been burgled. We're guessing the sight of a dude sleeping like a bear put them off.
Was nobody suspicious that just you guys hadn't been burgled?
Same question. This is why I bring my sea bag to festivals, make it heavy, and lock that poo.
Got really drunk in Vegas. Some girl with her friends insisted on going up to my room. I kept telling her she didn't have to, but she kept saying, let's go, let's go. We kissed twice, then she immediately passed out in my bed, so I did the same, with all of our clothes on. I woke up a few hours later, still in a half-drunk state, having completely forgotten about her. Looked over and my brain was like, WTF? Where am I? I quickly remembered and went back to sleep. Woke up a few hours later and she was gone.
The sexless innkeeper.
But when he returned, he found a sound sleeper, and thus he became the sexless innkeeper.
Oh man.
It's embarrassing how much this made me laugh.
I'm watching him right now. Tears of joy, tears of joy. I love it. Lucky you weren't robbed. Girls insisting on going to your place like that have me suspicious. Not the worst way on her part to get a free night at a Vegas hotel.
The stranger wasn't in my bed, he was standing beside it looking down at me. He had not been in my apartment when I went to bed, he had broken in and apparently spent quite a bit of time in there before entering my bedroom. He'd broken in through one door and created an exit for himself that took him past the door he'd entered through and out through our other, almost never used, door. I chased him out but lost him in the alley behind my building. The police believed that my reaction saved me from a sexual assault and possibly from abduction. Unfortunately they never caught the guy.
How did you react when you noticed him?
It took a moment to really realize what was going on, then the adrenaline kicked in. I jumped up and lunged for him, fully intending to beat the poo out of him if I got hold of him, but he was faster, and had shoes on, which was a definite advantage once I got outside. It wasn't until I was speaking with the police that I really understood how much danger I had been in. Up to that point, I was running on adrenaline and reflex. Apparently my instinct is more fight than flight. The full reaction, particularly the anxiety, didn't come on until the forensics officer showed up and he was able to give a clearer picture of what he'd done before I woke up. It was clear it was a planned intrusion and that theft was not his primary motive.
Oh God, this is the nightmare. I'm so glad you are okay.
Thanks.
Weirdly related, but in my mid-sized town we had a criminal weirdo doing something similar, slowly escalating. Every week or two for a few months there was another story of him breaking in. At first staring at women as they slept, then some saying he was touching their feet, touching their face. Seemed like he was getting bolder, stealing clothes and the touching and whatnot, but the last time anyone saw him was a woman who said she sprung up, went 100% fight right away. Jumped on him right away, started hitting and chasing him as he hauled ass out of her house. Last I've heard no one's ever seen him since.
Are you okay? That sounds horrible. I wouldn't be able to sleep in that house again, I think.
I am okay, although I do still have lingering anxiety. I moved out of that place not long after. I never really felt safe there again.
That's crazy. A lot of people would have reacted differently in that situation, but I'm glad you're all right and will.
I'm so glad you're okay. I woke up to someone trying to climb through the window onto my bed and I screamed and ran. When the police officers got there, they discovered he'd moved furniture around outside to be able to climb up and in. That's the last time I fell asleep with windows open in that house. It's effing scary, having your home violated like that. I hope you're okay.
I am really glad you're okay. I would have screamed like a 12-year-old girl and cried for hours, and I'm a guy.
So terrifying. What else had he done, and how was it clear what he planned?
Damn, that's scary. Not a bed but kind of an abandoned trailer in the middle of the desert. Found shelter, slept in it, woke up, there was another person in there. They didn't know I was in there either. When I stood up and looked around they were staring at me all wide-eyed and clearly freaked out. I didn't know what to do and we just looked at each other for a little bit. I don't know what to say, so I offered her some corn nuts. We both laughed at that and then we shortly left without asking any questions. That's the closest I ever got to a one-night stand.
What were you doing out there?
Selling corn nuts.
I'm going to the store to get corn nuts now. If this is a marketing conspiracy, it worked on me for sure. AFK.
They sound so good. Can you pick me up some too?
Update: they didn't have any. I got chocolate milk and chips instead. Sad face. Smiley face.
I was a businessman doing business things.
Such ambiguity. I feel like you've got a story to write someday and I hope I come across it somehow. Strangest people have been to the coolest places.
It's not that cool. The answer to all of this is just DG and poor decisions.
Taking a break from patrolling the Mojave.
Corn nuts are the snack of kings. Plain, ranch, barbecue, chipotle,
Ranch.
LSD is a hell of a D.
That's the closest I ever got to a one-night stand, so username didn't check out.
Rubber fist of melancholy and isolation wouldn't fit.
I guess the rubber fist is sort of a third date thing.
Of love. So forth.
Dunno, can barely remember flashes of the nightclub, dancing with some girl, and then waking up in my hotel room with her next to me fully nude and my buddy fast asleep in his bed. I don't actually remember getting laid. She wasn't a hooker, I still had all my cash the next morning. Vegas, man.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Except herpes.
The first time I went to Vegas, I went for breakfast the first morning and the waiter gave some great advice. One of the things he said was, don't pick up anything you can't put down.
Instructions unclear. The world is now on my shoulders.
In other words, don't do coke in the club, buddy.
That pool come back with you.
I wonder how many people have this exact story. Either being the buddy sleeping in the next bed, the naked lady, or the dude next to the naked lady.
It should be noted, I was nude at the time as well.
The naked dude next to the naked lady.
That's what you get for waking up in Vegas.
Not as raunchy as some of the stories, but a friend of mine in college woke up in some random girl's bed that she didn't know. She was so drunk that she thought it was her dorm room, and the door was open, so she got in the bed and slept. When she woke up there was a note next to her that said something like, "Hey, I don't know who you are, but you were really asleep last night. Don't worry, it's cool if you crash here. I was going to spend the night at my boyfriend's. Just please make sure you close the door when you leave. P.S. I left you a glass of water on the nightstand." Apparently that girl came back to her room and found my friend passed out on her bed. She decided to be really nice and let her sleep it off.
That's so sweet.
A friend of mine in college had the reverse happen to him. Got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and when he came back there was a naked girl he didn't recognize fast asleep in his bed. Just put a towel on her and went back to sleep on his couch, and she was gone when he woke up.
I did something similar once. I was very drunk, DGED, and in a bad situation. Guy was a total scary creep. Wouldn't let me go. I stumbled out when he went to pee and made my way a couple doors down, one was open. I was scared he was going to come out and see me in the hall and take me back. So I went in. I don't remember much else. Woke up in a bed in that apartment, stranger on the floor. Lucky for me he was a really nice guy who just saw me in his bed, drunkenly shrugged and went to sleep on the floor.
That's scary. Glad you were able to get out. Luckily the girl from my story was just drunkenly confused and thought my friend's room was her boyfriend's.
I was almost that girl. Well, I'm a dude, but you know what I mean. The first week of second year, new dorm that happens to be the same room as my old room but one floor higher. I think you can see where this is going. The building has a key card for entry, then normal keys for each room, but individual floors share a lift with a code, so you don't need a specific key or code to access a floor of the building. I go out, get hammered, come home and crash on my bed. Look around, think this isn't my stuff, this is all girls' stuff. Exclaimed, what the F, who took all my poo, and then see the rightful tenant coming out of her bathroom and realize that nobody has moved my stuff. This just isn't my room. Fortunately it turns out to be a friend and she found it hilarious, but that could have gone very badly if it had been a stranger and I'd just jumped into her bed. It's been 12 years and she still takes the piss out of me for it to this day. Every time we're hanging out and she can't find her phone, drink, gloves, whatever, I hear her shouting, what the F, who took all my poo.
That's some next level girl code.
Girls supporting girls, even on their messiest nights, lol.
I became friends with a stranger once when she saw me puking and ran over to hold my hair back.
Wow, that's actually so nice. Humanity does exist.
I had not been sleeping, but I had an afternoon date with a young lady and went to bed that night, alone. I woke up in the middle of the night very confused. I couldn't tell where I was at and somehow convinced myself I was in her room. I heard voices thinking somehow I had gotten into her room and thought she would be back any second. Not a good thing, as we were not supposed to be in the ladies' dorm at all, and I assume especially in the middle of the night and uninvited. And I could tell there was someone sleeping in the other bed and I was really freaking out. I actually stood up and was trying to find my clothes and I really started to panic because I couldn't. I was going to climb out of the window and was moving that way. Well, finally I fully woke up and realized that I was in my room. The other person was my roommate. Glad I didn't climb out the window. The young lady lived on the ground floor and I lived on the 7th.
Ah, college.
Lol, oh god. Wish this hasn't happened as often as it has. As a tiny female, I'm lucky to be alive. One specifically stands out. I was out drinking with my dad, he was in town visiting, uncle, and my brothers. Across from our table are these two guys visiting from Tennessee. At some point my uncle starts chatting with them and invites them to join our table. One is very Matthew McConaughey-like, so naturally I'm trying to be subtlety flirtatious. I drank a lot that night, to the point that I'm pretty spotty on leaving the bar. Or even the fact that my family just let me leave with these two random guys. I woke up in their hotel room. Turns out it was 7 guys sharing the room, and I had the entire bed to myself. They even put the comforter over me while a couple had the other bed and the rest slept on the floor. One of the dudes even went and got breakfast for us all, including me. They tried to convince me to go to the Fish concert that they were in town for, but I had to work. Sad face.
That's sweet of the guys to let you have the bed. Did you ever ask your family why they let you leave with 2 random guys?
I've brought it up years later, like, oh hey, remember that time you guys just randomly let me leave with 2 grown-ass dudes? They don't really respond with an answer as much as an awkward chuckle.
Are these your guys? https://io.wp.com/wp-content/upload/2021-02/screen-shot-2021-02-11-at-10.01.03-m.png.
Lol, yes.
Fish fans whistle, but do not work.
I work Fish concerts, among others, and I must say, we look forward to them at work. They're the most chill people I've met. We basically beg them to be booked more than once a year, but I guess it's not up to them. Sad face.
Your family seriously effed up letting you go home with them while wasted. But what a sweet story. Shame you had work, sad face.
I've always thought so too, because it could have gone south real quick. I'm hella lucky they were respectful and nice. Yeah. I know, I feel like it would have been an interesting time. Though I'm not really keen and haven't heard much of Fish's music.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.